Mother Nature has some of you double checking your calendar. It says May, but a powerful spring storm has blanketed parts of Montana in snow on this Tuesday, shutting down highways and forcing schools to cancel events. Hi everyone, I'm Tim McGonigal.
And I'm Shannon Newth. We begin our coverage today with storm track meteorologist Mike Rollins. Mike, some of these images really just say it all.
Absolutely. We're still seeing heavy snow come down right now in parts of central Montana. And we'll start off here with a look at Lewistown Divide. Snow really piling up here, causing major problems throughout Fergus County. We've also seen some very heavy snow coming down in parts of Judith Basin County as well. At this hour, we still have this massive area of low pressure spinning about. You can really see where this thing is at. Out here over eastern Montana right now, pushing more and more moisture into central Montana. And that's where we've had some of the heaviest rain and some of the heaviest snow in the past few hours. Zooming in, you can still see the snow from Geyser through Stanford, right along Highway 87 into Lewistown. You go farther west and we're talking about rain here in Great Falls. Temperatures warm enough for rain, 42 degrees right now in the Electric City with a very light rain coming down. Our winds out of the northwest at about 5 to 10. Staying breezy this evening, light rain still through 7, 8, 9 o'clock through Great Falls, and then the rain ending and winds decreasing later tonight. Cloudy skies, our temperatures down to about 40 by 11 o'clock. I'll take you hour by hour through the rest of this storm coming up.
And checking on our roads right now, all highways through Great Falls are just wet, but it's a mess out east. Highway 87 is open now, but crews were forced to close the highways for several hours this afternoon after a semi rolled over. Highway 191 through Judith Gap was also closed for a time. Crews reopened that within the last hour. Farther north, drivers are being asked to avoid Montana Highway 66 due to severe driving conditions from Hayes to the junction of Highway 191. And hundreds of people are without power right now due to this storm. Northwestern Energy's largest outage is near Glasgow, where more than 500 customers are in the dark. Near Monarch, more than 200 customers are without power, and there are several other sporadic outages throughout central Montana. Crews are working to restore electricity and hope to get things back online this evening.
The storm has forced some high schools to postpone games this afternoon. Crosstown softball and track in Great Falls has been rescheduled, and Helena's Crosstown softball game has also been rescheduled. Tom Wiley will have a complete look at the impact the storm is having coming up later in sports. Don't forget, you can take Montana's most accurate forecast with you wherever you go with our Storm Tracker weather app. It's free to download from the App Store and Google Play.
The names of those who were killed on Montana roadways in the last few days have been released.
First, the 3 women who died in a crash on I-15 early Monday morning. 27-year-old Valencia Begay, 20-year-old Devon Denny, and 35-year-old Jessica Newser, all from Great Falls, were pronounced dead at the scene. Cascade County Sheriff Bob Edwards says that the investigating deputy coroners suspect that alcohol was a factor in the crash. The crash happened just before 3 a.m. near mile marker 282 on I-15 South outside of Great Falls. Montana Highway Patrol says the 3 women were in an SUV traveling north in the southbound lane of I-15. A semi-truck was traveling south in the southbound lane and tried to avoid the SUV, but the 2 collided head-on. The driver and a passenger in the semi were not injured.
Meanwhile, the victim of a rollover crash in Blaine County from Sunday evening has been identified as Michelle Speak Thunder, aged 45. She was a resident of Harlem and Fort Belknap area. According to Montana Highway Patrol, she was traveling northbound on Highway 66 when her vehicle went off the right side of the road. Speak Thunder overcorrected and the truck rolled. She was ejected from the vehicle. Speak Thunder was not wearing her seatbelt, and MHP says alcohol and speed did play a factor in that accident.
Federal officials this week shut the door on a coal export terminal near Bellingham, Washington. It was intended to export coal mined near Montana's Crow Indian Reservation. But
as MTN's Mike Dennison reports, it's not the only project in the coal export debate.
A coal export terminal near Bellingham appears to be off the table. But state officials in Washington are also considering another export terminal near Longview on the Columbia River. The U.S. coal industry is facing tough times. Yet, here in Montana, it says the export market may hold some promise.
This year, if we continue on the trend where we are now, we'll be down around 29 million tons, which will be the lowest amount, I believe, since 1983. So the potential of having an export market that could absorb some of our production capability that's being lost in the domestic market would be a huge benefit to Montana.
Still, the Longview project, known as the Millennium Bulk Terminal, also faces opposition. Today in Helena, an activist from Longview questioned whether a market for coal really exists in the Orient.
Well, we've heard there's a willing buyer, but is there? That's the question. China says they don't want our coal anymore. They've already shut down 50% of their coal-fired plants in Beijing, and they're shutting plants down all over their country.
Anderson urged Montanans to oppose the coal export facility and said shipping coal will spread coal dust and create more pollution.
Listen to both sides. Think about how this will affect you here in Montana over the next 60 years. Is this going to be good for you to have your children playing in schoolyards where the coal trains go by?
The Washington State Department of Ecology is accepting comments now for a draft environmental impact statement on the proposal. Clinch says the Longview site is already an industrial area and believes it should have less opposition than the Bellingham port. Yet, while some Montana coal producers hope exports could brighten their future, Clinch acknowledges the industry faces many challenges, from less demand to increasing environmental regulations.
So it's very uncertain times in the coal industry right now, and quite a bit of nervousness on everyone from upper management to the rank and file worker in the mine.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, late this afternoon, Leon Costello was named the new athletic director for Montana State University, and it comes just hours after Kyle Brennan backed out of a job which he accepted just last week. Brennan told MSU President Waded Cruzado in a phone conversation that he was concerned about finding affordable housing in the Bozeman area. Brennan would have been paid $185,000 per year. He also said he was concerned about moving his children to new schools and that the job just didn't feel right. As expected, the news took MSU officials by surprise. Tom Wiley will have much more on the new athletic director and the situation coming up later in sports. Airmen from the Montana Air National Guard recently came home from serving United States Central Command Area of Operation.
MTN's Margaret DeMarco has more on that deployment and what they're looking forward to most about being home.
After 28 hours of travel, the men and women of the 219th Red Horse Squadron finally touched down on Montana soil. All Technical Sergeant Jason White wanted to see was his 4-year-old daughter and his wife.
A lot of people say that love at first sight, and you get the butterflies in your stomach, and every time you see that person, you get those butterflies. When the wheels touched down on that airport, it was butterflies in the stomach all over again.
For Senior Airman Blake Cotton, this was his first deployment, and as he saw his family for the first time in months, he thought it was unreal.
I saw my father, and it almost brought tears to my eyes, but I held it in. But family and friends, it was unbelievable. Once again, it was unreal.
For the past 8 months, the 80 members of the 219th left their families to deploy overseas.
Our mission is to pick up, go locations, and do work. Since we ended up in 7 different countries while we were deployed.
219th Red Horse Commander Lieutenant Colonel Rusty Vira says the teams worked on airfields, full-size facilities, and also worked with an Army unit that was embedded with the team.
We were essentially the theater of operations engineering force of choice to get work done while we were deployed.
Vira says he is proud of how the airmen performed while they were on deployment.
Pride that you feel being able to bring that team home just is an outstanding feeling.
In Great Falls, Margaret DeMarco, MTN News.
Not only are the airmen excited to spend time with their families, but they're also looking forward to taking in Montana by camping this summer.